the shadow, can you imagine what kind of life it is to live? The world is changing, they say. It's time to be free. But you live with the fear of just being me. Living in the shadow feels like the safe place to be. No harm for them, no harm for me. Warrior Carter.
I believe that telling our stories first to ourselves and then to one another and the world is a revolutionary act. It is an act that can be met with hostility, exclusion, and violence. It can also lead to love, understanding, transcendence, and community. Janet Mock.
I appreciate everyone's opinion, but I refuse to have a lesser opinion on myself. Kanye West.
Good morning. My name is Ethan Andrews, and I'm a sixth form boarder from London. The first time I heard the word gay was in an insult, shouted across the playground at school, probably aged around 6 or 7. I didn't know what the word meant. I just knew that being gay meant you were weak, or you were slow, or you were like a girl. I knew that being gay was the worst thing to be in the playground. Most of the boys sat here would have heard this insult growing up numerous times. For most people, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just an insult, because you missed the ball or you were slower than someone else. However, in my case, the boys using it as a harmless insult in the playground were right. Though, at the time, they didn't know that, and neither did I. But this was my introduction to what being gay was. It was something bad, and something you never wanted to be. And so, of course, I grew up with a secret. Before I even knew I was gay, I knew it had to be hidden. I couldn't tell anyone, either directly or indirectly. I couldn't sit a certain way, speak a certain way, or ever let anyone know that I knew all the words to Crazy in Love by Beyonce, and Jay-Z's rap, and the dance from the music video. For a long period of time, everything I said or did had to be thought about twice. I was scared that anything I did would make my secret obvious to everyone around me. And this is what happened for the majority of my time at school. Changing myself in subtle and not so subtle ways in order to fit in and come across as straight. Nothing was worse, in my mind, than my friends finding out that I liked boys. And then I started sixth form. Sixth form, in the UK, is what we call the last 2 years of school, when you're 17 and 18. By this point, I had come out to a few friends, but I wasn't completely comfortable in myself, and there are a lot of people I hadn't told. My head of sixth form was called Mr. Emerson. He's an openly gay teacher. I can't remember how I found out, but everyone knew. It wasn't an issue, and it wasn't really talked about at all. Mr. Emerson approached me, early on in sixth form, about starting an LGBT+ society. He wanted to have a club, which met weekly, for anyone to come to, that was about LGBT+ issues. He told me how much something like this would have meant to him, growing up in Northern England, at a time when being gay was so much more of an issue than it is today. The idea of an LGBT+ society scared me so much. I was scared of being so visible with my sexuality to the whole school. I was scared of certain people finding out. And, deep down, I really didn't want to own my sexuality like that. I preferred to keep it hidden and more discreet. I preferred for people not to know that I was gay. But we did start it. I was part of the LGBT+ society for 2 years, and it was transformative for me. I first heard the insult, "you're gay," whilst at school, and since then, school had always seemed to be a place where my sexuality couldn't exist. This group of people, meeting every week, became a link between my sexuality and my school that I had never thought possible. Teachers and students, from the youngest to the oldest in the school, would come and talk about issues I had always felt were mine, and mine only. Fears that had only ever existed in my head were being spoken about, freely and openly, and over time, I changed how I perceive myself and my sexuality completely. No longer a hidden part of myself or something I prefer not to talk about, I became proud that I was gay. I became proud of the group of people me and Mr. Emerson brought together and what we had done at school. I felt pride in my sexuality at school, and if you'd asked me at 14, I never would have thought that that would be possible. E.M. Forster is a British writer from the early 20th century, and one of his books, Maurice, is about gay love. It follows a young man at Cambridge University realizing he is in love with a friend of his and sees them fall in and out of love. It was written in 1913, a time when being gay was illegal in the UK, and is considered to be loosely based on Forster's own experience. On the first manuscript for Maurice, Forster wrote a small note. It was a question that said, "Publishable, but worth it?" Forster knew the implications of releasing a gay love story at that time. It would be a crime. He would be outing himself to a country that would not accept him. Forster decided it wasn't worth it, and the manuscript was not published until after his death, in the 1970s. I thought about Forster's choice a lot when thinking about this chapel talk. I asked myself, why do I want to talk about growing up gay? Why did I feel that this topic was the one I most wanted to share after 2 terms here at Westminster? I could have talked to you about a number of things, but I chose this. As Forster asked, was talking about growing up gay worth it? If you had asked me when I was 14, I would have said no. Like Forster, I would have been too scared. I wouldn't have wanted anyone to know. I would have kept protecting my secrets. But I know how much it would have meant to me, at 14, to hear someone else talk about being gay. To hear someone else talk about how they had feared being gay before they even knew what being gay was. To hear someone tell me how they had felt different to all of their friends in so many ways. To hear someone tell me how they had found pride in their sexuality at school. To hear someone tell me that they too were growing up gay, and they were proud of that. So much of my time at school was about compromising parts of me, in fear of being outed as gay. I changed the person I was because I was too scared to be myself to others. School, for the majority of my time there, felt like a place where my sexuality couldn't exist. I graduated my school last year, and I was finally done with the classrooms and the corridors. Then, I decided to do it all over again, and in January of this year, I came to Westminster. Boarding school, for someone who's never experienced it before, is overwhelming. I realised, after the first week or so, that I was around the same people from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. There is literally no break. That was new to me and scary at the start. I quickly found out that being in a community like Westminster, there wasn't much space for inauthenticity. I knew that I'd have to take what I'd learned over the past 3 years in terms of how I present myself to the outside world and what I hide, and put it to practice. And every day, I did that. Each day, I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't compromise on who I am, no matter the situation. Looking back now, with just 2 weeks until my time at Westminster comes to an end, I can proudly say I've done that. I know that I haven't compromised on any part of me, and I really have lived my best life because of it. I wish I could say I have lessons to share, or an easy trip that gave me the confidence I have now in who I am. But that's not real life. There is no shortcut. Instead, there's a long journey, and one that can seem, at times, endless. Starting the LGBT plus society at my school with Mr. Emerson was the first step in my own journey, to feel proud of who I am and to share that pride. Finding a community and giving yourself the space and time to talk, openly and freely, about things that you once could never have imagined sharing with anyone is powerful. Being loud about things you've once kept silent is powerful. My time here at Westminster, truly being myself throughout, is another important step in my journey, and one I won't ever forget. I have been loud about things I've once kept silent, and that's really what this chapel talk is. This is me showing pride in who I am, and not being scared to do that. I know I won't compromise on who I am again. I won't hide parts of me, or try to be someone I'm not, because I know what it is to live every day hiding yourself, and what that does to you. I have a responsibility to be proud of who I am, and to show that pride. This is me, being proud to be gay, and not being afraid to say that. Thank you for listening.